Hey, I'm just trying to learn how to hit the ball off the tee with my driver longer and straighter. Makes the game of golf really fun for me. It really breaks down a hole, a tough hole, and turns it into a good birdie opportunity. And it's just really fun to watch the ball sail long and straight. But if you're just learning how to play golf, or maybe you've just been in a funk lately with the driver and it's just not going straight and you're thinking that you're just going to have to leave it at home in the garage when you go out to play, then a good place to start is to go back to basics. So in this video, we're going to examine just some of the fundamentals and the differences in the driver, hopefully return you back to simple again and get you on your way driving it back down the fairway long and straight and getting more enjoyment out of the game. So stay tuned. Hey, I'm Steve with HitItLonger.com, and today we're just talking about driver basics, the fundamental things that are going to help you become a better driver. First, let's look at the club itself. It's very different than any other club in your bag. And of course, I'm sure that if you've been around, you've noticed that your driver is very unique relative to the other clubs. It looks very different, but let's look at why it might be making it so much more challenging and get you in a big funk with your driver that you may not be seeing with your irons. So first of all, you've got a club in your hand that has the least amount of loft of any club in your bag, and therefore you're the most at risk or the most at the mercy of a slight error in the angle of the face at impact to cause the ball to go offline substantially. So if you were to miss with the 6-iron about 2 or 3 degrees open face on a straight path and just a couple degrees open on a 6-iron, you might still find yourself on the right edge of the green. Conversely, 2 degrees, 3 degrees closed, you might actually catch the green or maybe just putt from off the green. But on a driver, 2 or 3 degrees open, especially at higher speed, or 2 or 3 degrees closed, is definitely going to put you in trouble into the rough or maybe off of a tree or something. So the club face has to have a tighter dispersion rate on the driver if you're going to be successful. Second of all, standard driver is now out to 45 inches. In some cases, a lot of companies are coming out with drivers that are 46 inches. Now, this long of a shaft just simply makes it easier to make a mistake, makes it just harder to time everything compared to with a 9-iron or an 8-iron. Therefore, you could make a mistake in sweet spot, hit, or club face angle. The third issue, which makes a driver so much harder to hit than all the other clubs, is it's the lightest club in your bag. It's going to have the lightest shaft in the bag. This one's probably around 65 grams or so, but new technology is now seeing shafts. They're able to make shafts that are down in the 40-degree range. Now, this is great for possibly swinging faster and everything, and you're going to swing this a lot faster because it's longer and lighter than your irons. The problem is with such a light shaft and the lighter the worse, is that you start to lose the feel for where the club head is. It starts to feel so light that unless you're doing some key fundamentals, you're losing the feel of the weight of the club and the swing weight as you go throughout your swing. That causes people sometimes to rush, get too quick, not stay wide on the arc all the way down, but instead get muscly with it because it is so light. So those 3 factors alone are going to explain a lot of why this is so much harder to hit than any other club in your bag. A first good checkpoint when it comes to basics of the driver swing comes from the front view, and that way we can see the ball position and the width of the stance. 2 things that might be eluding you if you're having issues with your driver right now. So as I set up here, I want you to notice how aggressively forward I've got this ball position. I try to line the ball up off the big toe or even maybe to the middle toe of my left foot. A lot of people are simply too much in the middle of their stance, and this is really wreaking havoc on their angle of attack, their path. It's costing you distance, costing you accuracy as well. Try to get it moved forward as much as you can, a little at a time if you have to, but it's definitely one big checkpoint. Let me hit one, I'll show you where I'm lined up. So, right off the big toe of the left foot. Another thing to take a look at from the front view, the face-on view, is the width of the stance. It kind of goes together with ball position, and it's another fundamental idea that a lot of golfers get wrong when they're in a funk. They start getting, generally, they start getting too wide this way. And I see a lot of people that have a really hard time controlling the flight or the curve of the ball. They're very inconsistent from left to right with their drives. I see them like this a lot. Now, there's actually a good test you can do to see how wide your widest stance should be. See, I don't recommend a big wide stance like this. If you've watched my channel, you've seen some of the other videos I've done on this. I advocate a stance you can maintain balance out of. I want to show you what I mean. If I stay here, this is more of a modest stance, and I shift my weight as far as I can over to the left post. See, I can pick this foot up off the ground and I can comfortably set it down here. But now as I tiptoe out further and further, wider and wider, all of a sudden I start to fall backwards. I'm not able to maintain my shift over to the front post. So if you're finding yourself doing a lot of falling backwards, you might want to check out that stance. So the wider you get, I don't like it because to me it just makes your head tend to sway, and if your head's going to stay centered, then you can't shift your weight completely. So you end up getting kind of stuck in the middle, can't clear the hips as well, and direction suffers. So do that stance width test at home when you get a chance. Again, from here, I can balance. From here, shifting my weight as far as I can, I'm stuck on the back foot. Going to cause a lot of problems. Let me show you how wide I'll go. It's not as wide as you'll see other YouTube instructors going. Let me give it a shot. Notice this is, my heels are more under my hip bones here. Okay, let's stay with the setup a minute longer because the setup contains another source of errors when your driver's going bad and you just need to get back to basics again. Or maybe you're just learning how to play, as I said in the beginning. Want to make sure that you're not aiming all cockeyed. A lot of people will make the error of getting very closed on their driver, and then they're going to come over the top and pull the ball back online again. It's not a very consistent way to do it. I would suggest laying a club down on the ground when you practice, and even on the course for several holes. If you're just playing a casual practice round, I'd lay a club down and check my alignment, especially on longer shots. Additionally, besides we want to get the feet really straight, like this, it's also really important, more than any other club, to now get the shoulders and hips also square to the feet. Something like this. We want to get shoulders, hips, and feet all pointing in the same direction. It's more imperative on the longer shots because, again, 1 little degree off is going to be multiplied by 3 or 4 times in terms of dispersion off your target compared to like a 6 or a 7 iron. The ball will tend to just end up offline more, gets you in trouble more. So we got to really tighten up and pay attention to detail here. Let me give it a shot, see if I can get everything square, shoulders and hips square to the feet. If not, I know you'll let me know about it in the comments. All right, square feet, square hips and shoulders, and go. Now, another fundamental of the driver that you may not have considered is, since a driver is the longest club on your bag, that also means that it's going to swing on the least vertical plane. Like your wedge is shorter, so it tends to swing a little bit more up and down at, say, oh, I don't know, 65 degrees or so, maybe even 70 degrees vertically. But a driver is going to be more like 45 to 50 degrees vertically, which also means that the arc coming into the ball on the downswing is going to be approaching from significantly more from the inside. So what I've done here, I've taken a paint can to ensure that my club is going to stay on the inside enough coming into the ball. That's going to solve problems for a lot of people. You could use a range bucket or any number of things. Just a bottle of water might even work. Just use creativity. Let me give it a shot here, see if I can hit a ball without hitting this paint can. So the root cause of a lot of you out there, your driver issues, are if you would come down normally and you would come down and whack this paint can. I'm going to make it even a little bit harder this time, as you might sneak, as you're successful at it, start at easy mode. Now this, I wouldn't use something this hard. You might break your driver on it if you're very bad at it, but you might use something a little bit lighter, a range basket, something like that. Notice how this is forcing me to bring my club back from the inside, which is going to help you with a lot of different issues. Gets you out of coming over the top and outside in, hitting down on the ball. We want to be coming more from the inside and hitting up on the ball. Let me give it one more try here. This bucket makes me a little more nervous now. Yeah, that's a good one. Stayed on the inside of the bucket. My club came around and squared up to the target line right at the ball, so the ball ended up starting straight and flying very straight. Again, if you've been in a kind of a driving funk, not hitting it very straight, you've lost some confidence, got to get back to basics. I'm going to use the speed whoosh here to illustrate another thing that, you know, more of average golfers have a really hard time with. It's freedom and finishing your swing, both back and through. So at home, you might just practice sets of 5 or 10, just swinging all the way back, all the way through. You don't have to add any speed to it, but what a lot of poor drivers of the ball tend to do, they tend to swing short going back, and or they tend to swing short on the follow through. They tend to kind of cut it off, which we'll get into the next thing, is freedom, because they're kind of steering it and controlling it. There's a lot of tension there. I mean, how much tension would it take to stop this moving body so quickly? You'd really have to tighten up muscles of the arm and wrist to cause the club to stop before it goes all the way around the body. So what you'll do is, just out in the yard or whatever at home, wherever you have some space, lengthen the backswing, lengthen the follow through, lengthen and lengthen. You're just going to practice going long to long, and that might get rid of some of the distance issues and maybe just free you up. So speaking of free, let's talk about freedom. Got my speed whoosh here. So in addition to getting their swings, especially you stand on a tight hole or you're in a match or something, your swing was going to tend to get short and quick. Maybe you cut off the follow through, you're just not confident that you're going to hit one out there in the fairway. Let's get back to being free again, because it's your best chance of hitting a good drive is being free and long. With this, it's going to swoosh if I'm releasing the club head freely like this. You hear that swoosh? It's a nice loud swat that I'm making. I like this because it's more apparent when I'm being free. See, if I'm squeezing this thing and I'm trying to swing short and I'm trying to steer it and control it and not just let it go, then I'm not going to get near the swoosh as if, hear how much louder that is. Make a long backswing, a long follow through, and swoosh the club to freedom at the ball. Relaxed freedom, no tension at all, no thought, just be free. So hey, that wraps it up for the driver basics, or just fundamentals of the driver that might be just a little bit different from the rest of the clubs in your bag. We've got to be tighter with everything on the driver. We've got to just be a little bit better because of how much further this hits it, and the straight face makes it curve a lot more. So we got to be on our game. And generally, when we're in a slump, especially with the driver, it can really, get into our mind. The best thing to do is just to take it easy, go back and reset, check your fundamentals, check your basics again. Start with your stance and your grip always when it comes to that, and then get back to swinging back on an arc and swinging through on an arc. Get back to the simple ideas. It's usually not an enormous trick or something super complicated in your swing. So don't chase your tail around looking for something, really complicated. Hey, I'm Steve. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit like. Consider becoming a subscriber if you got some benefit out of it. And I hope to see you in the next video, or maybe longer and straighter down the fairway.